Years ago, I hired somebody to be our military and global affairs researcher and writer. His name is Jason Buttrill, and he's an amazing guy. He has been now named our head writer and chief researcher on all things. He's responsible for a lot of what we expose on any of our specials on Wednesday night. I've asked him to look into this Venezuela operation. And he joins us now. Hi, Jason. How are you?
Hey, Glenn. Doing good. Thanks for having me.
So this story here on Venezuela is amazing, and they have just now trotted one of these former, I think, Green Berets or Special Forces members out in front of television in Venezuela. And I'll ask you to tell me about them here in just a second. But he was arrested in Venezuela and admitted to a plot to capture President Maduro. He said that he and 6 Venezuelan mercenaries, along with another American, were commanded by Donald Trump to go and kidnap Maduro. That doesn't sound like a very good plan, if indeed is true.
Yeah.
Do you believe it came from the White House in any way, shape, or form?
Absolutely not. And I think that's the best way to, or the best jumping off point to look at this story, because I've looked into this story. I've actually reached out to people that were, don't want to say involved, and I'm going to be very careful to keep their identities hidden. But they did go to the training camps, which were in Colombia. They did help initially in some of the training, but one of the reasons why they backed out was because they said that there was no support from any government whatsoever. There was no support from the transition government with Gallardo in Venezuela, and there was definitely no U.S. government support. And that caused many people to say, look, I don't want to have anything to do with this.
So they went down, the people you spoke to went down and were part of this training early on and then figured it out and went, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they reported malnourished soldiers on the ground. They reported a lack of weapons. They reported a low amount of actual soldiers that could pull this off. So the people that were involved were, to be pretty bluntly, known drug traffickers. In fact, the head, his name is Alcala, was a general under Chavez, and he's been a dissident. He separated from the Maduro military. He was involved in the get-go from a lot of the armed uprisings we saw back in April of last year. He is now in a U.S. prison because he was involved with Chavez to smuggle cocaine up into the United States. These are the people that were involved here.
So who was paying for it? Was he involved in paying for it?
Very good question, because the American contractor that kind of set everything up, the former special Green Beret, Jordan Goudreau, he said that initially they had the Venezuelan transition government on board. They promised to pay them money, but the money never showed up. Now, there's been a lot of people who've been trying to follow the money trail. There's been multiple millionaires, billionaires, some of them in the United States, who initially sounded like they were giving some money. But it pretty much sounds like once they figured out the scope of this, that they actually were going to do an invasion with 300 men, Glenn. The Venezuelan army has over 140,000. Now, they had 300 men.
300. I mean, isn't that famous movie, 300, and that famous story from, Troy, 300 men?
If it happened once,
Yeah, it is crazy. Now, Maduro is taking this guy, and he is just spilling his guts. But he's saying that a company called Silver Corp was involved in this. What is Silver Corp?
So Silver Corp is Jordan Goudreau's, the former Green Beret. It's his company. If you look on it, it looks like a lot of the shady contractor type websites. There's really no way to get in contact with them. They just show them doing pictures of cool stuff, wearing earpieces or, running around with their shirts off up mountains and stuff, and saying they can provide.
So it's like a Blackwater wannabe.
Exactly, less legit. So like Blackwater, the way they would operate is they would get a government contract that's fully sponsored by the U.S. government, and they would go do something. That's the first way you can do those things. The second is you get full support from the host nation. Some contractors do that. This guy went option C, which was none of the above. We're just going to say screw it, gather a bunch of guys and go in.
Yeah. And their plan was to go take the airport. I mean, this guy describes it on television in Venezuela that my job was to take the airport and secure the him to take the airport and secure the perimeter. Uh-huh. What was their plan beyond that?
So, from what I can tell, what they expected was they're claiming to have larger support within Venezuela. Now, that very well could be true, but I guess really to fully understand it, we've got to go back to April of 2019. April 2019, I don't know if you remember, but that's when there was an actual like kind of turn in some of the soldiers. There was that big uprising at one of the military bases. Gallardo kind of emerged at that point. The U.S. government said, "Okay, we support this guy," and we thought more military were going to start flipping. Well, that failed. When that failed, I always wondered what happened to those guys. Where'd they go? Well, they went to Colombia. And this story continues as all coup stories happen in a Marriott in Bogota, Colombia. Don't all coup stories. They end up happening
of course
in
they
Marriott.
do.
I don't know what to do.
Yes. They always do.
So that's when all of these guys
because they're clean. They have a Bible in the bedside, and so it's I mean, even revolutionaries want a nice place to stay. So what happens to this guy? I mean, first of all, he is claiming on television that he got his orders direct from Donald Trump, which is laughable. I mean, there's no Donald Trump. If he's going to go in, he's going in. He's not going in with this guy.
Yeah. No, this is dumb. Nobody would support this plan. His claims are absolutely false, which we've verified ourselves. I don't know what happens to him. Pompeo said yesterday that the U.S. government was going to do what they could to try and get them back. But I personally don't think that they're going to be able to do anything. We've already got sanctions on them. We're not going to push this too far because it wasn't sanctioned. And then we don't want to make it look like it was sanctioned.
Wait. Yeah. Why would we want these guys back? I mean, if I go into another country and I break the law, I have to pay the price in that the United States government's not going to come and save me. I have to pay the fine or go to jail or whatever it is. These guys were going in to foment a revolution and a coup. And while I agree with the goal, why are we saving them?
It's true. It will come down directly to that. And, these were big boys. They knew what they were doing. This is awful. The situation is awful. I think the official numbers are around 9 men died, including the Americans that were captured. They're alive, but it was a tragedy. And, this really all falls on Jordan Goudreau, the guy that, started this. It was his plan. He was in command of these guys. He convinced them to go. Jordan Goudreau, if he's even listening to this, you need to go offer yourself. You need to go say, hey, look, I offer myself, let my men go. Because this is all on his shoulders. A 300-troop plan to topple a government is absolutely ridiculous.